Hi guys, it's Tracy here, and I have the Best Day of My Life kit from Scraptastic out on my work surface, and I'm going to be creating a layout with these papers here. If you guys watched my last process video, you saw me put these papers together as a potential combination for scrapbooking with this picture of me with my cat laying on my neck, and that's kind of her favorite place to lie. So I wanted to make sure I documented that, because I think of all the years that I've had my cat, 16 years now, I don't think I've ever scrapbooked about the fact that she likes laying in that way. So going to do that today. And if you guys are anything like me, you probably have at least some punches in your stash. I have a fair amount of punches. I've been buying them since I started scrapbooking in 2009. I've tried to stick to more versatile shapes that I know I can use in lots of different ways. And so I have a whole bunch of them here, and I have a couple more down there in that little box and on top of the box. So today we're challenging you to punch it up and use these punches on your layout. So even though I've already chosen these papers to work with, I'm going to just look through what other papers come in the kit. This is, again, the Best Day of My Life kit from Scraptastic. And I'm also, because I'm going to be punching some shapes, I'm taking out some of the cardstock that comes with the kit as well, because I might be using that for some of the punched shapes. I'm going to start by taking off the manufacturer's strip from this piece of paper. It's from the Style Board collection from Crepe Paper, and I want to use this butterfly paper, but it feels a little challenging, just where the pattern is spaced all over the page. So I'm going to just kind of think about how I want to use it, and start with some of the easier choices. So this paper is from Echo Park from the Capture Life collection, and it says "All you need is love" all over it in tiny white script, like a cursive writing. And so I just use that to match my photo, just to give my photo a little bit more, just to kind of separate it a little bit from all the patterns that will be on this one eventually. And I'm going to use the striped paper as a strip, and then the butterfly paper as a strip as well. And I think using it as a strip instead of as a big rectangle as I had originally planned, it just kind of calms down the pattern a little bit. The pattern is quite, as I said, it's quite overwhelming. So, or not overwhelming, but it's just kind of busy, I guess. And I want something that's going to keep your eye around the photo, and if there's too many big chunky black butterflies all over the place, it's going to be harder for your eye to settle on something. So I just showed you there that I got a couple of new pens. I got 3 new Micron pens. I used to use these quite some time ago, and when they ran out, I never did get more. And I've never used them for scrapbooking. I used to use them before when I did journaling and that sort of thing, in a paper journal. So yeah, I'm looking forward to using these for scrapbooking. And what I really like about them is that they have the point number up on the top of them. So when they're in my pen jar, I can see which one are 0.0, 0.05, 0.01, and 0.07. No, 0.03. 05, 01, and 03. And so while I was talking there, I was just writing down my ingredients so that I can refer to it while I'm narrating. So I have it sitting right here beside me right now. I'm using the 0.03 pen to outline my papers. And that again just kind of brings all of these different patterns together and makes the papers seem kind of finished off and like they all kind of become a little bit more cohesive. Then I'm just outlining around the edge of that one. You really can't see it very well. It's very, very, very subtle. Probably didn't have to do it, but I just felt like it. So this is kind of the structure of my layout, and so it's kind of just this horizontal rectangle with 2 horizontal strips on it, and then my square photo over to the left side like this. and I thought about putting a doily behind it. I seem to be on some kick about putting doilies behind photos these days, but I'm not going to do that. Pardon me, I think I'm developing a bit of a cold, so I hope I don't cough on you guys. I am putting some pop dots on the other side, on either end of the strips, and I'm not taking the backing off because they're just there to hold space. They're just there to kind of have the tops lift. So I forgot to turn on my camera, but I did punch this border, which is a really old punch. I really wanted to pull out some of the punches that I haven't used for a while. This was one of my very first border punches. I got this one and the apron lace one, and I'm pretty sure I gave away the apron lace one since then because I literally used that apron lace, that's the scallop with the little holes in it, so much that I said to myself, I will never use this again because I really just overused it. So, but I hung on to the bracket one because I just really liked it. Didn't want to get rid of it. And so here I am using it, and I did outline it, and sorry I'm out of frame here. I'm actually going to show you how I punch that. I know you guys probably know how to use punches, but I felt kind of badly that this whole challenge is all about punches, and then I forgot to show you me punching it. So I'm just showing you that on that little spot that is shiny blue, that's where the punch mechanism is, so you can tell where you're punching, and then you just line it up on the edge and kind of push it through as I just did. You just want to make sure that it's lined up against the little ledge on the edge of the punch, just to make sure that you're punching it in a straight line and that the pattern lines up. So this is a set of punches that I have from EK Success. Didn't know which one I was going to use, but once I took them down I realized I wanted to use this one, which is called the Border Frame Punch by EK Success. The other one is called the Pointed Frame. And that provides a cute little journaling square, which I'm going to use some vellum to back. I'm just kind of playing around with some different ideas of running a strip of paper through it, and I'm not going to do it, but I was kind of just trying to see if I had a paper that was the right width, just so I could see what it looked like more for a future project than for this one. I didn't have a strip that was the right size, so I didn't bother trying it out. I'll try that out at some point, but not today. I knew that for today I didn't want to do that. I wanted to use some vellum behind it. I also have these two Martha Stewart butterfly punches. This first one is 3 small butterflies. One is bigger, and then the other two are the same. The 2 small ones are the same size. And then I have a Punch Anywhere on the Page punch from also from Martha Stewart, and it works using magnets. And so I'm just punching a whole bunch of butterflies out of that parquet flooring print on the again, it's from the Capture Life collection from Echo Park. So now I'm still kind of playing around with the idea of what am I going to do with this frame? What am I going to put inside of it? And I thought I might put a little stamped phrase. So I was having a look at the stamp sets that are coordinated with the kit this month. I've decided to also use this circle punch. Not a circle, it's a heart punch, and I just chose a white with a gray pattern part of a journaling square, again from the Capture Life collection from Echo Park. And all of these things have come in the kit. I think every single thing I'm using so far has come in the kit, and I'm going to use that for my journaling, the heart punch, and that was a EK Success punch, I believe. So what I'm doing now is I am tracing a piece of vellum from this cut off piece. I had already used half of this doily, and so I just traced around it in a way that left a bit of a border so that I could have something to glue it to. I didn't want to use the punch to punch a negative space because it would fit perfectly inside instead of overlapping, so I had to actually trace around it and hand cut it, instead of cutting it, instead of punching the same punch on the vellum, because that piece would have just fit right through instead of layering behind. So that's going to be a small secondary journaling piece, and then this heart is going to be where the main journaling goes. I just have a few words to say about this picture. The picture itself and the words and the title will kind of tell the story. So again, I have my Micron pen, and this one is the 0.01 tip, and because I'm doing some very fussy outlining here, I'm using one of my most narrow pens. It's not my smallest pen tip, but it's my second smallest. So this pen is the Pigma Micron by Sakura, and it is archival ink, and it says here micropigment ink for waterproof and fade-proof lines. And these are really great. I got them at the art supply store I go to, but I think you can get them at different scrapbooking stores as well. I think I've seen other people using them. They have a distinct brown color to them. This is an Amy Tangerine roller phrase stamp, and what I've done with this is just made an index card that includes all of the phrases stamped out so that I can see what they are. They're difficult to read backwards, and I found that I wasn't using the stamp very much because of that. So now that I have a little index and I know what each of them say, it's a lot easier to use it. So I'm going to place that over there on the left side. It will provide a little bit of balance to the heart. So the heart will be on the top right side of the photo, and then the other little frame will be on the bottom left side. And one tip that I have for outlining hearts and other shapes like circles and scallops and stuff is to try to leave a little bit of a border. Try to not go right along the edge of the heart or to go off the edge of the heart, because that's when it doesn't look as puffy and soft and full. You know, when you go off the edges, sometimes it looks a little bit too jaggedy. So I try even harder on hearts and scallops and other shapes to really have a little bit of a border between my outlining and the edge of the paper. It's more important than it is when I'm doing my straight outlining, so I do take a little bit of time. So I want these little cutoffs. These were the negative space from the other border, from the other shape punch, and I want to use them as brackets for my journaling. So I just wanted to place them before I started writing so I would know where I need to start and stop my writing, basically. So there's my journaling, and now I'm going to put those back in place. And I'm going to glue them using my 2A Zig glue pen. It's actually a glue marker. It has like a chisel tip marker type of dispenser. And I'm going to glue the other one down. I'm just going to try to make them even. Of course, brackets, you want them to look like a pear. So that's coming together nicely. I don't often use punches for a journaling piece, but I really like this look. I think I have to do it a little bit more often. So now I'm taking my .005 pen, which is my smallest point tip that I have, and I just ran around the outside of that bracket. There we go, .005, and that is a Prismacolor pen. Now I pulled out one of these ormolu tags. This tag is really cute. I'm going to cut off the edges to make it look like a tag, and then I'm also going to try to make it look a little bit more like a real tag. I'm not a huge fan of printed tags that look too fake, so I have my Crocodile here, and I'm actually going to change my camera perspective so that you can see. Whoa, sorry about that, guys. There we go. So I'm just kind of holding it and looking where I'm punching. And now I'm also going to punch a little tiny hole out of craft paper, as you see right there. Going to use my Zig glue pen again to glue that down on top of the printed circle. Grab my Crocodile again and punch right inside of the hole that was already punched. I just turned it around so I could see where the center was. And now what I want to do here is I don't want to have this look like it has distressed edges or inked edges, so I'm using antique linen just to take the harsh whiteness away from it. It just makes it look a little bit more like a store-bought tag, or a tag that's been hanging around for a while, instead of a tag that I just freshly cut out of paper from a printable. So it's very, very subtle, and you know, I end up covering almost all the edges of this tag anyways by the time I'm done the layout, so it's not a necessary step, but it's just one more little detail that I do to make me be happy with the use of that tag. So, and again, I think you'll notice that sometimes I take the time to do those sorts of details and sometimes I don't. It kind of depends on my mood and what I think is important at any given moment. And so now I'm going to start to glue some stuff down. So I just put a tiny amount of ATG on the edge of that embellishment, and I'm going to put that tag in so that it's only a tiny bit is hanging under the photo. And now I want to put the heart so that it doesn't leave any weird edges over there on the right hand side. So just mindful of the placement as I put things together. And that tag actually filled up a little awkward hole of space that was where the butterfly paper was poking through, and that's the whole reason that I put the tag on. I forgot to narrate that part, but there was an awkward space of butterfly paper just in that little triangle of space between the heart and the edge of the photo, and that's why I stuck that tag in there. So now I would like the word change to go right here. And so I'm just measuring. It's 3 to 3.5, and I want the height to be 1 to 1.5. And I'm going to spell the word change, and I'm going to put it on my Cameo. And so there's the word change. I use the Suzy Q font. It's SW Suzy Q, which I purchased from the Silhouette store. I don't have many cursive fonts, so I did have to buy one. I had one or two, but they weren't what I was looking for this one. This one I just wanted a kind of slanted handwriting type of cursive font. So now I'm actually going to make an outline for this, and to do that you have to use the offset button on your Silhouette, which I've never used before. So I just pressed it and it made it kind of outlined, and then I changed the little slider button on it to make it small, because the default is that it makes this big huge outline around it. So I made it smaller until it was about the size I wanted, and then I just deleted the original word change off of it and I was left with this outline. I did have to go back and erase out, there were little holes in the loops of the G and the A and inside of the A and the E, and so I had to go and delete those to make one full gray piece. And I just used a bit of gray paper from my scrap drawer. And here I'm using my all-time favorite thickers, Amy Tangerine Goodness, in the darker color of gray. They come in light gray and dark gray, and I have 3 packs of these in this package, but I also have a couple of extra unopened packs of these as well. Because I love them so much, I hoarded them a little bit. One thing I'm glad I hoarded, because I don't know if I could buy them anymore now, and I do really, really love them. So I just put those away, and then I also spelled out the word never using some more Amy Tangerine tile stickers. Those were from a previous kit not too long ago. They came in maybe 2-3 months ago at the most. They came in the kit. They were actually the lower part of some shape stickers, and I think I showed you that. I was talking about something else, but if you were watching the video, you would have seen me show you that. So I'm just placing these. First I used the edge of the mat to line them up, and now I'm using the top of that rectangular piece of paper with the triangle shapes on it. Now I'm using my Zig two-way glue pen again to glue just the outline for change. I'm going to stick that word never on there. And now I was going to use that same glue pen, but I'm going to have it's going to be quite messy. So I have another glue pen, also by Zig, and it has a more fine tip on it. And so I'm going to use that because I can stay inside the lines quite a bit easier with that. So I'm just tracing all the way around it. These two-way glue pens are awesome to have if you do a lot of silhouette cuts or die cutting and that sort of thing, because it allows you to put the glue right where you need it. And it dries fairly quickly. So the layout is almost done. Now all I have to do is figure out how I'm going to place all of these wood-colored butterflies. I'm going to put 3 of them down here in the bottom and then the rest of them up in the top and make them look like they're flying diagonally across my layout. And it wasn't until later that I realized that you know, butterflies are all about change, and then this layout is about things not changing. So kind of funny, I guess. Yeah, a lot of times butterflies can symbolize change because they, you know, go from a caterpillar to a butterfly. So I will often use them as a motif on a layout about development or growth or change. But today I just use them because they're a pretty shape. And oh yeah, so there's another tip for you. If you want to keep your glossy accents upside down while you're using it, so you don't have to keep shaking it down to the bottom of the bottle, you can just put a couple of rolls of washi tape and stick it in the middle so that the nozzle kind of hangs down. And I put a piece of wax paper underneath of it just in case that nozzle drips. I don't want a big glossy accenty mess underneath. If it does leak. It has never leaked yet, but that's what I always do just in case, because you know the time I don't do that is exactly the time that it will leak, right? So I just kind of put those randomly. I try to not spend too much time thinking about placement of that sort of thing, because it all looks the same in the end anyways, whether you spend 20 minutes doing it or just a few minutes. So now I am going to put the tiny attacher staples in the centers of each of these butterflies. And you have to be very light in your touch when you're doing this, because it doesn't take much to get these staples in, and if you press really hard, it will rip the paper, the background paper. And so you'll notice that I have a little piece of foam. That's a piece of foam that came in a brad package back when we used to buy brads, and I don't think they put them in those foam anymore. I think they're usually just attached to a piece of cardstock nowadays. But you know, any piece of foam would work. It just basically keeps the staples from digging into my work surface. And now I'm going to use my We Are Memory Keepers brad tool to close these up, because on the back side now I have a whole bunch of staples sticking up. So I just, you kind of have to use your finger to keep it from rolling around on you. So I hold one of the ends with my finger while I push the other one down with the tool. And after I do a couple of them, I get quite efficient at it, and eventually I realize that you can just kind of like, there's a more efficient way to do it. There you go, that's the way. I had forgotten about that. So you just kind of pull it down and it actually goes quite quickly. You'll notice that they're fast now. And that tool has a little kind of edge on it, so that it's just showing you the tool. It's by We Are Memory Keepers. And because the flattening edge of it has a little groove in it, it keeps the staples from slipping off the edge of the tool. So it's actually a really handy thing to have. I've never used it for brads. I actually bought it when I wasn't using brads very much. Like, I bought it fairly recently for this exact reason, so that I could use it to close staples with. So now I'm going to put some little dimensional dimensional squares underneath the wings of my butterflies. And it's a little bit of a fussy job because you've got to get them in there so that you can't see them, which is tricky. You'll see me go back and take my scissors to cut some edges off because some of them I didn't do a great job of. And then the little tiny ones I'm not going to put foam under because the wings are just too tiny, but I am going to still pinch them up with my fingernails just so that they are lifted a little bit up off the page to give it a bit of dimension. And I was originally going to have these butterflies be colorful butterflies. I had some pink. Actually, the back side of these butterflies is like a pink pattern paper that reads as a solid. It's again from the Capture Life collection. But when I started punching them out and flipped it around and noticed that the back side was that parquet wood, I really liked how that looked. I liked how it kind of blends in with the background paper. It doesn't stand out so much, so you really kind of have to look twice to say, hey, there's butterflies there. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not. But I do like how they blend in with the exposed pieces of wood on the background paper. I'm going to put 3 clusters of enamel dots here. One, so you just saw me do the first and second, and now I'm kind of thinking a little bit about where the third set of dots will end up going. I don't want them to look like Mickey ears, so I'm always kind of mindful to set them off angle a little bit so that they definitely don't look like I'm trying for them to be Mickey ears, because I'm not. In this situation anyways. So I want to add a flare badge here, but that one is too heavy. See how it's really setting off the layout? It becomes off balanced when I do that. So thought about using some washi tape, but no. When I like a layout, I really like this one, so I'm really hesitant to change it at this point. So I'm not going to introduce that washi tape. But I have this other flare badge. I knew I had some cat themed flare badges just from my own stash. And because instead of having a black background, it has the white background, it doesn't have as much weight as the one that came in the kit. So I'm going to use the Cat Rules one instead of the one that comes in the kit. And then it's just adding something to the layout. It's not an element that puts it off balance. And then if I use the other one, I would have to figure out another place to put something equally dark somewhere else. And yeah, so this was just an easier choice for me. And plus it gives me a chance to use my cat themed flare badge, which I have a small set of them. I'm pretty sure they're from Buttons and Badges on Etsy. Buttons and Badges on Etsy, I think, is the store that it's from. So I used a total of 7 punches on this layout, which I'm shocked that I was able to use that much. So thanks so much for watching, everybody, and check out the Scraptastic blog where you will see this layout and also one from Lady Grace, who also played along with this challenge. And we challenge you guys to use punches with your layouts this month and link up your examples on the blog post so that you can be entered to win a prize. Have a great scrappy week.